Burning properties on relationality between human, land, and fire. Word sanitary is derived from sanitas and sanus, a Latin word that translates to healthy or sane. Within this project, sanitas can refer to practices or strategies aimed at promoting and maintaining health, sanity, and overall well-being. The project proposes a series of shared domestic burning infrastructures to strengthen the emerging burning practices in Paradise. New clubhouses become part of the existing burning events, inviting residents to navigate local landscape. Fragmented assembly of domestic activities and dissolution of boundaries aim to challenge the domestic space in relation to fire. The project encourages burning practices to become part of the domestic sanitas to gain deeper relationality to fire and surrounding lands. Fire has always been part of the natural ecosystem of California. However, with urbanization of dense settlements, wildfires are increasingly seen as destructive forces. Fire suppression has become the status quo approach in mitigating wildfire risks through science-based principles. Current landscape of California is populated with fire surveillance and firefighting hubs. In 2018, a town of Paradise was engulfed by the campfire, started by failed power equipment. Unable to evacuate, 85 people died. The campfire leveled 95% of its structures to the ground. As Paradise continues to rebuild, new properties become larger and more expensive, but identical in their cultural nature. These late trends illuminate the increasing failures of absolute fire suppression and firefighting practices. The sanitas of fire suppression further reinforces anti-fire culture and shapes the domestic type into a set of boundaries: indoor-outdoor, fire, non-fire, mine versus yours. This anti-fire culture originated with the arrival of New England colonists. Since then, Native American practice of cultural fire has been threatened. Fire-dependent communities such as Yurok and Karuk tribes of Northern California shape their worldview and spiritual connection to the land through cultural burning. Their traditional ecological knowledge enables them to understand when the burn is needed, because burning stimulates the supply of large game, acorns, huckleberries, hazelnut, and improves the health of the water. Cultural burns, place-specific and conducted by those deeply tied to the land, serve as a spiritual and physical restoration, and an alternative form of sanitas, nurturing the well-being of their environment and reducing the risks of wildfires. In the fight for rebuilding their cultural identity and against fire suppression, the Yurok tribe had initiated a training exchange program called Treks in 2011 to bring good fire to the land. Klamath Treks of 2017 had over 80 participants that burned 60 plots of land over a period of 10 days. Trek starts with legislative work, obtaining necessary burn permits and planning the procedures. Volunteering participants gather at the Panamni Community Center for the introductory briefing. The burns are accompanied by firefighting transport and equipment. Clearing the ground of large fuel may be necessary. Participants familiarize themselves with site-specific nature. The burn starts with lighting of the first ceremonial fire. Treks teaches a deeper understanding of nature and its inhabitants through burning. The landscape becomes a primary domestic type where people dine at burn sites. Functioning under the dominant scientific firefighting system, monitoring and reporting takes place. At night, participants inhabit nearby lands for sleeping. During each treks, one evening is dedicated for potlatch, presentations, singing, and dancing. Treks eradicates clear-set boundaries. Land becomes part of the domestic, yours and mine become shared, fire becomes part of life. In recognition of alternative strategies, CAL FIRE released a prescribed fire guidebook establishing a legislative framework and liability risks for landowners wanting to burn their property. The document focuses on scientific methods of controlling fire with visual techniques for a single boundary-defined unit burn. In the case for letting Malibu burn, Mike Davis stresses the issue of the sacred, property value-oriented culture of California. Confined by layers of separation and driven by the race for value, many homeowners oppose any change in relation to wildfires. As California undergoes through perpetual existential construction of housing and cities, the core DNA of the domestic type with prominent boundaries remains. Thus, the project seeks to strengthen the existing burning practice among Californian residents, thus altering the domestic sanitas culture, enabling the participants to gain deeper relationality to fire and surrounding lands. The first intervention of the project is to syncretize the familiar typology of a clubhouse with burning infrastructures. A typology of a clubhouse is found in many neighborhoods in California in condominiums, townhouses, and associations. It is a shared amenity space with a ballroom, kitchen, and a pool. The project positions itself within Paradise, where remaining buildings are being appropriated for existing Butte County Trex branch activities. State-funded clubhouses would work with commonly accepted fire suppression infrastructure. Each evacuation zone is treated as a neighborhood where a clubhouse can be shared between local residents. The familiar pitched roof canopy of the clubhouse encloses indoor, semi-outdoor, and outdoor space. It provides necessary congregational spaces for a burning practice to appropriate. During off-burning seasons, the clubhouse is utilized in its typical way, as an extension of domestic space. It provides workspace, event halls, and entertainment. Modular roof system is designed to engage with unique ground conditions. The clubhouse enables burning practice to happen locally and appropriate familiar architectures, syncretizing leisure and burning. Located on the periphery of the urban context, the clubhouse invites local residents to navigate surrounding lands. The project encourages state guidelines on property burning and can assist with necessary equipment. Similar to the procedural burning route of Klamath, the second design intervention concerns with a larger territorial population of landscape with temporary domestic spaces. The stations build upon common national forest architecture and camping grounds. Adaptability of the roof allows the landscape to become an integral part of each station. Domestic activities are fragmented and scattered across the land, inviting its inhabitants to navigate local landscape. The stations provide essential domestic spaces such as a kitchen, showers, and bathroom. The canopy becomes a shelter provision for sleeping during treks. They are also utilized for preparations and briefings. Charred timber shingle cladding is gradually tilted, creating a visual connection to surrounding landscape. In the off-burning seasons, the station can be utilized as cabins for leisure nature activities, for environmental research, or pedagogical outings. The proposal aims to shift the conventional inhabitation model by dissolving boundaries. The stations create friction between familiar objects and by bringing unfamiliar in. Here is one possible scenario of how these spaces can be utilized by Trex. At the clubhouse, planning can take several months. Trex starts with an opening induction. The participants then split into several groups and burn 6 plots during the first day, to then arrive at the first station, where they can share a meal, deploy sleeping bags for the night, and have morning briefing. They will then carry on burning on various landscapes and staying at different stations every night until the burn plan is complete, and return to the clubhouse for a final social gathering including potlatch and music. The project thus acts as a Trojan horse by appropriating a familiar typology of a clubhouse to strengthen the existing burning practices. The architectures become mediators between land and urban, fire and leisure, indoor and outdoor, familiar and foreign, syncretizing all to become common. The proposal then speculates how fragmented assembly of domestic architectures, along with other social, legislative, and political activities related to burning, influence the domestic space. Foldable fences can be implemented between neighboring properties to perform collective property or pile burns. The project encourages burning practices to become part of the domestic sanitas to gain deeper relationality to fire and surrounding lands, develop forms of knowledge, understand the politics of establishing a common practice, and social relation building. The project explores tension by bringing unfamiliar into the familiar domestic setting and speculates on new sanitas inhabitation models.